So this lady asks, this black lady, are white women really that scared of black women? And I'm going to say yes. And this is my opinion as a white woman who is 53 years old and has lived in the South in Georgia in my entire life. But it's not being scared, but it's a fear. And it's not a physical fear, it is the mental fear. It is what we see in you and what we see you doing and how it challenges us and the fear of that. So we see black women and we see how strong you are. We see you coming together as a community. We see you supporting each other. We see you supporting your community, supporting your families, supporting your children, going out and fighting for your rights, being authentic in your race and in your femininity. Anyway. And we're jealous.
The greatness of black women lies in their resilience, strength, creativity, and profound contributions to society, despite facing intersecting challenges of race, gender, and in many cases, class. Their greatness transcends individual accomplishments, encompassing cultural, historical, and community impact. Here are some key aspects of the greatness of black women.
I think we're jealous because we would love to be that, I think, and we don't know how to break out of the indoctrination that we have been suppressed by our entire lives. And I'm not giving white women a pass, don't get me wrong, but I know I and most women have been told, white women have been told our entire lives, be quiet, know your place, be a good girl, don't rock the boat, don't be too much. And when you are any of those things, you are ostracized because you have rocked their boat. And that is what black women are. You rock our boat, our mental boat, because you challenge us to look at how we are deficient and not living in our truth, and it makes us uncomfortable. And people don't like to be uncomfortable, and it makes us start to question ourselves, and people don't like to question themselves. We would rather live in our little bubble of white supremacy and what we know and comfortableness. I know that's not a word. Than a lot of people would, white women would, rather than challenge themselves to grow and know more, because it's easy. Doing the work is hard. It's really hard. I've been doing the work the past several years, and it's hard. It is hard admitting some truths about yourself and some truths about yourself as a white woman. So yeah, I think that white women are scared of black women because you challenge us in that way, and a lot of us don't like it. And that's why we fear you. It's because we fear what you make us face.
I have a theory about why black women and white women are having such a hard time getting along, and it starts with a story. When I first started teaching, I was in a teacher training program with 3 other women. 2 of them were black and 1 of them was Indian, and we started teaching at the same school, the same grade, at the same time. One of these women, a black woman, completely excelled. She did so much better than I did at literally everything. Classroom management, her test scores were high. She was excellent at literally everything. And something about her excellence didn't sit right with me. I just didn't feel good about it, and I couldn't figure out why I didn't feel good about it. It was internalized racism, but I didn't know that yet. So I had to sit with this idea of her being better than me and trying to figure out why it didn't feel good and feel comfortable for me. And of course, at the time, I didn't know that I needed to do the work of anti-racism, so I didn't think it was possibly because I could have internalized racism. I had to do a lot of study and thought about myself and what could possibly be making me feel this way about this woman. And here's what I discovered. Most of the media that I had consumed up to that point in my life had white people as the central characters. And the shows and other media that I consumed that had white women at the central characters often had black women as the side characters. These black women's role in these movies was to assist the white women, support the white women, advise the white women, but never to rise above the white women. Even shows that were about Black women, like The Help, had white women as the central character and the Black women as supporting characters. So I internalized the idea that Black women were there to support me and to advise me, but not to rise above or become better than me. And that's why when this Black teacher was way better and more talented than me, I felt some kind of way about it. Now, I'd imagine lots and lots more white women have also internalized the same idea, and that's why they feel okay stealing Black women's content and not giving them any credit, because the Black women are just there to advise them anyway. But most Black women are natural leaders. Society has forced them to become leaders. And so we need to step aside and let them lead, even if it means checking our privilege and letting them lead us.
This is not an attack on white women. This is simply
I live between 3 countries, and she's not lying, especially European women. I have friends from Europe, so I am not racist. I am just simply giving my experience. Most people globally have watched African American women and women of African descent on TV, and they think that that is how all African American women behave. So when they meet a woman who's educated, well-spoken, beautiful, well-manicured, they don't know how to handle it. They also are extremely jealous that their husbands, their fathers, their uncles, all of the men in their lives literally stare at you the entire time that you are out in a restaurant or wherever you are, market. They are highly attracted to women of African descent. White women do not know how to handle this. In America, I have experienced this in corporate America, but in Europe, you experience this in the markets. They literally act like toddlers or mean girls.
I have a theory about why Black women and white women are having such a hard time getting.
I have a theory about white people who decide to theorize their dislike for Black people as if the answer isn't just plain old race. Black women and white women aren't having a hard time getting along. Black women are trying to navigate through spaces, and unfortunately they have to deal with people like you who decide that it's necessary to theorize your dislike for Black people instead of just saying, yeah, it was plain up race. And then to follow that up with that you saw in the media that white people were the main character and Black women were the side characters. I mean, doesn't art imitate life? You didn't learn it from media. You learned it from life. Why do you guys shift the blame? Why can't you don't even say in general that you said you internalized. And that feels like a symptom of white guilt, the over-theorizing, and then not just being able to say, I was being raped.
I have a theory about why Black women and white women are having such a hard time getting.
This video is really fascinating because it demonstrates the tie between self-esteem and racism. And I've said before on my page that kind of racism creates a world where white people get to outsource their insecurity and their fears onto Black people, that Black people become the reservoir that have to hold all of white people's discomfort about themselves. And, the function of white supremacy is to create an underclass of people who white people can compare themselves to and say, at least I'm always better than them. And, we see this in corporate America where it's harder for Black women to get promoted even when they're excellent because they're seen as threatening. There's actually a theory around this, and it's called pet to threat, and it was created by Dr. Keisha Thomas. And so it's interesting that the research even shows, there's some tie between Black people and Black women being excellent and also them being socially and societally rejected. Anti-racism requires emotional awareness.
The greatness of Black women lies in their resilience, strength, creativity, and profound contributions to society, despite facing intersecting challenges of race, gender, and in many cases, class. Their greatness transcends individual accomplishments, encompassing cultural, historical, and community impact. Here are some key aspects of the greatness of Black women. 1. Unmatched resilience. Black women have endured centuries of systemic oppression, including slavery, colonialism, and racial discrimination, yet continue to strive and build legacies. Their ability to overcome adversity is a testament to their inner strength. 2. Leadership and activism. Black women have been at the forefront of social justice movements, from Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth during the abolition to Rosa Parks, Angela Davis, and Ella Baker in the civil rights movement, to contemporary leaders like Stacey Abrams and Opatometty, co-founders of Black Lives Matter. 3. Cultural influence. Black women have shaped global culture through music, literature, film, and art. Icons like Nina Simone, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, and Beyoncé have left indelible marks on the world. From natural hair movement to redefining beauty standards, Black women have inspired cultural shifts that celebrate authenticity and self-expression. 4. Intellectual and professional excellence. Black women like Katherine Johnson, NASA mathematician Kamala Harris, and Lupita Nyong'o have broken barriers in science, politics, and the arts. At number 5, advocate for intersectional justice. Black women have long championed intersectionality, recognizing how race, gender, and class intersect in systems of oppression. Scholars like Kimberly Crenshaw have provided frameworks for understanding these dynamics. The greatness of Black women is rooted in their ability to preserve, inspire, and lead despite systemic barriers.